welcome to Sparking STEM. I imagine if you're here it's because you have already received one of these keyrings from the Sparking STEM shop. These keyrings contain a piece of skin from a corn snake that's been naturally shed, and you're probably here because you'd like to meet the corn snake whose skin is in your keyring and learn a little bit more about how snakes shed their skin, which is also called ecdysis. And here she is. This is our beautiful pet corn snake. Her name is Nagini and she is about 8 years old, a healthy adult female. Corn snakes in the wild live, she's very wriggly and she's just woken up, so she's very inquisitive, wants to see what we are up to. So excuse me wriggling around all over the place as I hold her. So, as I said, in the wild, corn snakes live between about 6 and 8 years. So in the wild, she would be considered a very old lady. In captivity, however, because their living conditions are a bit easier, they can live between 10 and 15 years. So we're hoping that for us, she's only about middle-aged, and hopefully we'll have another 7 or 8 years in her. So let's introduce you to this corn snake in a bit more detail. As you probably know, corn snakes, all snakes in fact, they are reptiles and have scales. She's not wet or slippery to touch. She's very smooth and soft, remarkably soft actually. She feels very sort of velvety in some ways to hold. And you can see that the scales on her body are beautifully patterned. She's from, corn snakes naturally from North America, and have been kept very successfully as pets for a long time. We actually rehomed this snake from she had a very loving family who just wanted a family with younger children like ours who could give her a bit more of a cuddle more frequently, because she does like to come out, or it seems she likes to come out and get a bit of exercise outside her very large tank sometimes. Anyway, so you can see this beautiful pattern all over her back, helps to give her camouflage in the undergrowth. They tend to be ground dwelling, though they are also very good climbers when they need to be. And you can see, I'll see if I can show you, that the scales, all snakes have a much wider, broad scale on their ventral side. Ventral just means the tummy side, their underside. So on the underside, you can see wide ventral scales that go all the way across her ventral side. Whereas on the dorsal side, or on the top or the back, you can see the scales are much smaller and closer in their patterning. So these ventral scales, they also, it's actually easier to see on one of her shed skins. So I'll just show you one of the skins that she has shed. This is what I use to make the keyrings that you've received and that are in the Sparking STEM shop. You can see on the skin that she has shed, you can see those scales on the dorsal side with that pigmented patterning there, and on the ventral side you can see those much longer, wider, broader scales, which are also called scutes. And on a corn snake they are slightly angled at the edges, which is an adaptation that helps them to climb. And as you can see from the way she's climbing on me, she is a very good climber. But mostly they would stay down on the ground in the wild. Now, when they shed their skin, let's learn a little bit more about skin shedding, because of course that is the bit that is in your keyring. Young snakes, when they're growing, baby snakes, they shed their skin quite frequently, maybe as frequently as every few weeks, because of course they need to grow and get bigger and bigger, and their skin needs to come off and let them grow at quite a rate. Once they are adult, they still carry on shedding their skins, but they only do it perhaps 3 or 4 times a year, every few months. And they do it because in order for a snake to move easily through the undergrowth, they need to be really smooth. They need to have a very smooth, perfect skin to reduce the friction, the rubbing between them and their surroundings. The less the friction, the faster they can move. So they need to shed their old skin, which gets a bit rough, and reveal a nice new glossy one underneath. I'm not quite sure where she's going now. Hold on a second. Here we go. There she is. So they need to get rid of the old rough one and reveal a nice smooth one underneath that helps them to move through the undergrowth quickly. I don't know if you probably know that snakes are cold-blooded, ectothermic, and they get their warmth from their surroundings. Now, of course, me being warm-blooded, I have quite a lot of warmth, and she is absorbing that warmth as I hold her, and it is helping her to become increasingly active. So she's getting a bit wriggly because she is getting warmer and warmer from my body. Right, back to the skin shedding. So every few months she goes a very sort of pale milky colour as the old skin loosens off. And interestingly, snakes' eyes, see if I can show you, they don't have eyelids. So their eyes are always open. She can't close her eyes, they're always open. But they have scales over their eyes. They're sometimes called brills, sometimes called eye scales. These eye scales are transparent so that light can get through, and they offer protection to the eyes. Now, when she sheds her skin, those eye scales come off with the skin as well. And before she can shed the skin, her eyes go white. She can't see very well when her eyes are like that, and so she tends to hide away a bit and keep herself out of sight and out of the way while her eyes are opaque and cloudy white because she can't see very well. When she sheds her skin, those eye scales come off with the skin. I'm just trying to find, there we are, the snake's skin. This is the last one she did. I don't know if you can see there, you can see the eye scales come off with the skin, so you can actually see exactly where her eyes are. There's incredible detail in these skins. You can see every single scale. You can even, on some of them, see her mouth. There's another one. You can see her mouth and how she has wriggled out of it. Because of course when she does shed her skin, what she does is starts off by rubbing her nose. That's where it all starts. She rubs her nose against a rock or a bit of wood or a log or something, and then it starts to loosen around her mouth, and then she basically just wriggles out of it, rubbing herself up against the side of things and pushing out of the skin. And often you get little sort of concertinaed areas like this where you can see how the skin has ruckled up as she has pushed out of it. They usually come off in one beautifully big long piece like this. You can see if I hold it back here just how long one of these skins is. And as I showed you earlier, you can see all those beautiful details. Have a look on your keyring. You may well be able to see some of the pigmentation, that's the colouring, on those dorsal scales there where her pattern is. Let's have a quick look at her face. You can probably see her flicking her tongue in and out like that. She doesn't have to open her mouth to flick her tongue out because there's a little, let's see if she'll show you, tiny little hole there that her tongue can come out of when she wants to flick her tongue out. And what she's doing is detecting chemicals in the air so that she can basically see what's going on. Her tongue is very sensitive to chemicals. She has lots of chemoreceptors in a Jacobson's organ inside her mouth there, and her tongue collects chemicals from the air and feeds them back to these chemoreceptors, which tell her brain what's going on. So she's using that tongue almost as a way of seeing to try and find out where she is, what's going on, whether there's any prey to eat or any predators around that she needs to be wary of. It's her way of detecting what's going on. So I do hope you have enjoyed meeting our beautiful corn snake. If you've enjoyed meeting our snake and you enjoy your keyrings, please do like, subscribe, follow, share, tell your friends and let them know how you can take a tiny piece of this beautiful corn snake skin around with you wherever you would like to go. There we are. Do take a look at the Sparking Stem shop if you haven't already. And if you think, I really like those, but I wish you did one in a different colour, just comment below. Let me know which colour you think you would like, and I'll see if I can get those added to the selection in the shop. Great. Thank you for joining us, and a lovely big goodbye from Nadini and from me. Thank you.